Hey guys. And he was kind of beating all around the bush, and he said the reason was because really the person he has back home is his spin dom, and that she finally, and I was like, what? That's a thing?
But there's applying it, and then there's the actual action of communication.
Right.
Like when you discipline a child, you tell
Keep going. And then when we do it, you gotta say, scissor me, daddy, like that. All right.
No, you know.
This is
Different.
not the fucking thing to do. Like,
I think that's normal.
I got you, like, buddy. I can't help her.
Minutes later, I see a pizza slide under my door. No contact. Like, I'm good.
You see the pizza slide under the door with the hands, and your fucking hands slam down on top of it and grab his.
We have an initial physical type of what we like to see initially, because our eye is always drawn to something. I can see a tall guy, big and broad shoulders, and I'm like, ooh, nice. But if he talks to me, I'm be like, maybe not. Okay, so Mike, until we get the rest of the guys in, do you want to start with your first question for us ladies? First of all, are you drinking a Capri Sun?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. First things first, what is happening?
All right. We here. How do I sound? Wait. All right, bring it closer. Is that better?
That's better, yeah.
I was too far away, right?
A little tunnely, yeah.
A little tunnely. Okay.
Mhm.
Not no more. I'm here. So, yeah, welcome to We Got Questions podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Mr. Hennessy, and I am joined here with the basic one, Miss Basic. Like I said, welcome to We Got Questions podcast. Make sure that you guys are following, liking, subscribing to all of it. Share it out to a person that is going to enjoy this topic because
Welcome, Jeff.
basic, that's you got that. I gotta, because I'm doing all this stuff right here. If you want to post up stuff,
Okay.
But today we are talking about
Welcome,
something that basic. We talked about it earlier, and I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Digging it.
Going on.
It was an accident. It was an accident. It didn't mean to be what it was. So, but yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, like I said, today we're talking about coping mechanisms. Coping mechanisms. I spell coping, right?
Yes.
All right, making sure. I don't want to put two P's in there and it'd be copying. But yeah, so today we're talking about coping mechanisms and all other things. So before I start this, basic just kind of give a disclaimer to the people. So if I look a little lethargic or dizzy or anything like that, I did deal with my health scare last week. I'm okay. I am okay. But I might as well just put it all out there. I don't mind talking about it, but my little tiny health scare was a little significant. It scared the shit out of me. It was something I wasn't expecting. I know a coworker of mine that almost the same thing happened to him.
Wow.
He's no longer here with me.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I came in, I was experiencing pain in my face. I don't know how that fucking happens. Pain in my face. My head was just pounding. Like I usually wear like my rag or not rag, but like my hair scarf to sleep. And it felt like for some reason it felt like it being on my head, it felt like it was squeezing my head. Like the pressure that I was getting from it was just immense. I'm like, I put this on every day. I never feel this. So it just felt like that. And I was just, the sinuses was acting crazy. I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, I'm everything is happening. I can't even really talk because my face is hurting. So I decided and then I checked my pulse because I can see my pulse doing like this, like fast. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I checked myself into the hospital, came and got me. I rushed myself to the ER, and then they told me that my blood pressure was like 198 over like damn near 130.
Jeez.
So Yeah, that was a scary moment for me.
Have you ever had issues with your blood pressure before?
No, I have the blood pressure thing. But it's never even got nowhere near that.
Right.
The doctor will get you for blood pressure if you at 130. They don't give a damn. Like if you at 130, they'll be like, hey, like, okay, doc, like, I got you. But yeah, that was extremely high. They did not want me to leave. They told me to stay and said that they can't let me leave because if I leave, I can just die.
And you were like, I'm out?
No.
Oh,
I
okay,
didn't
so
leave.
you just stayed.
No,
Okay.
I stayed. I wasn't being stupid. Believe me, I'm not prideful or nothing like that. But yeah, that's what happened. And I'm still here, so that's a good part.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you are better and that it didn't get worse.
Right.
We're like, because I mean, it could have been. I feel like that's how it was when I found out I had pancreatitis, and I didn't even know I had pancreatitis. Like I
What's up, Shay?
Thinking I had heartburn.
All right.
Ended up with pancreatitis and in the hospital for a week.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Shay. What's up, mamas? Shay is the reason why I exist on that TikTok space. One of the reasons. What's going on, Nick? You got half a question convo? What? I don't even know what you're talking about, Nick. But yes, like I said, that's over and done with. It was still a scare. You see me still breathing in. I'm still sniffing in. So it's still something that I'm okay. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that I'm on top of my game. That's why you see this little red fucker right here. It looks little in my hand. I know it looks little in my hand. I didn't ask to have a supersized me apple because if I had a big fucking apple like that, chances are that bitch didn't grow in the ground. So I don't want it.
Nah,
I don't want it. Why would I need a big size apple? No. So
you just out here eating baby apples.
Yup. Basically. So yes, I'm taking care of myself just a little bit differently now. So it's like when I say I'm just everything, apple day keep the doctors away. I heard that. Well, tell him to say that to the people who cook this fucking chicken. That'd be good as fuck. But anyway, yeah, just that's all. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I spent almost 10 minutes on that, but I'm still here. I feel like I lost weight in my neck. Like that shit is weird. I lost weight somewhere, so it just like I said, scary ass thing. I'm still here. I'm still alive. I could have been sitting over there checked out with my ass in the air. That'd have been a pause. But it is what it is.
Right.
Chances are that it's family like a year later because everybody think I'm a lone wolf. So chances are, if I was checked, I'd have been down here. I'd have been farting and everything while I was gone. And it'd be like, yo, it stink down there. Yep.
Okay.
Mike was checked.
I
was letting that bitch loose.
See how quickly we derailed? See how quickly that happened?
Gotta make a joke. Got to. It was a scary situation. Yeah. Then you get your kid calling you up, saying you stuff to you, and you just sit here like, But I will say, and not to even say this, I don't ever acknowledge this, but karma is a bitch. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna tell you why. So I told my daughter this, and I told my daughter's mom, well, I was in the hospital for 2 days. She laughed because she didn't believe me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, ain't that crazy? It's so fucked up.
It is. Yeah. It looks like a kid apple because it is.
No, basic. It is not a kid apple. You see how big this fucking apple is? You would have a issue holding this apple.
No, probably, but I think it is a tiny apple still. It looks like he's kind of skinny.
But yes, continuing. Let's continue on with the conversation. All right, Basic, you want to fire off for us and tell us what we're talking about today?
Today's going to be a good one. It's going to be nice and therapeutic for all of us. Everybody was saying, Seneca was saying, Cheeky was saying, Cheeky's not here yet. But this is going to be a really good healing conversation for us, y'all, because we're talking about coping mechanisms and not just, I think Shane was asking if we were using like relationships, parenting, life, work, family, or friends. We're talking about all of it. Like, how do you cope with the stresses of all of those things? Like, how do we do those? How do we cope with that? And Like everybody has their own way. A lot of their ways aren't healthy. That's me. And I think that oftentimes we have to really evaluate how we handle things because life can get heavy. And I was telling Mike when we were talking about it and when we were picking our topic, I know for a fact that how I cope with things is not always the healthiest way. And my hope by the end of this, for not only me, but for everybody else, is that we find different ways and different outlets to deal with different things and to figure out like, and ask ourselves like the questions that can help us to really grow when it comes to coping with the everyday stresses. Because we all, like, we live with everyday stresses, right? Like every day there's something. But then life can throw you another curveball and it could be something crazy. And if we don't have healthy ways to deal and manage those, you know, those situations, whether it be daily stresses or like the really, really tough ones, it can take us out. Like stress can kill you. And as a person who has generalized anxiety disorder, I know that it is something that I need to work on. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation. I'm personally going through some stuff right now. Listen, and I know just from self-reflection, because I always try to do that with myself, I know that I just don't always have the healthiest ways of trying to process the emotions that I'm going through and what I'm feeling. And so we are going to talk about all the ways that we cope with like life in general and different aspects of life.
Can we talk about how sometimes when Basie be going through her coping mechanisms, I know it. This is how connected we are. I know it when she's going through it because I'm like, you can just feel it in the air.
Yeah.
Just feel it in the air. And it's like, I give her her time. That's the one thing I am good at is giving you your fucking time. I will give you your time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
No, I was going to add more to it.
No, please go ahead.
And then trying to get in touch with her is even worse.
Yeah.
That's the worst part right there.
I shut down. One of the reasons why I feel like this is going to be healthy for me is because I know that when life gets tough, whether it be any kind of thing, it could be family, it could be relationships, it could be something, it could be friendships, it could be anything. When life gets tough or when I'm dealing with a tough situation, my usual go-to is the shutdown. Like my system, like you have to reboot me in order for me to be able to like be back up because I literally shut down. Like I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I almost sit in the emotion, but I also know that doesn't help because I'm not processing what I'm feeling. I'm just not all, and I don't know why I do that. I mean, I kind of do. And I guess we could talk about that at some point tonight, talking about why we choose our different, types of coping. But usually when something tough happens, I don't process the emotion well. I usually just check out. And it's to no fault of anybody's. Like I always feel bad when it comes to the people around me, whether it be my family or my friends or anyone, because I check out. Like family doesn't hear from me. Like I shut down. I have to be very conscious about though how I do it here in my home because I can't do that with my daughter. You know what I mean? I can't do that with her, but it's a struggle because emotionally I'm shutting myself off. Because sometimes I feel like the emotion is too big to feel, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know how they were talking about earlier in the live, how people watch certain movies, and I said I try to avoid movies that make me emotional. It's because I try to, I don't want to process the feeling at first. I don't even know. Whoa, what just happened? What just happened, y'all?
It broke. Listen, before I finish what I'm about to say.
Go ahead.
No, if you laugh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It broke off in my mouth.
Oh man. You muted yourself.
Finish what you were saying. My bad.
I was saying, yeah, I just sometimes I can't. The emotion feels like it's too big for me to process, and so I just have to shut down. And I know that's not healthy because we have to have a healthy outlet to get it out. But I will hold on so tight. I had a death in my family last year.
But go ahead. No, keep talking about that. I know you're gonna answer it. Don't look at it. Go ahead. Your family last year.
I had a death in my family last year, and when it happened, I happened to be around friends, but I struggled that night because I couldn't say it out loud. Like I couldn't say what had happened out loud. Like I couldn't tell them. And even when I did go to tell someone, I held back my tears. Like it was almost like I physically feel myself like holding myself tight. You know what I mean? Like holding everything in and back and holding my body and trying to keep the emotion from like coming out. And I had somebody look at me and they'd be like, you have to be able to cry. Like you have to let go. You have to let it out and process it. You cannot be strong all the time. You cannot like keep it in, because like they could physically see me tightening up to keep myself from pouring out the emotion. But that's what my tendency, like that's how I usually go to when it comes to hard stuff.
So I do remember that situation in particular. I know we ain't gonna talk about it because listen, by all means, we are trying our best to not get you to cry. Not saying that you can't. Listen, do what you do. I just, you know what it's going to do to me. That's the part.
Yeah.
But the question that was asked to you, basic, do you avoid vulnerability?
Yes. The hardest part about romantic relationships and friendships, not just romantic relationships, is getting to a point where I can feel vulnerable with a person. Because it's terrifying to me. Because when you get to that point in friendships and in relationships, friendships and even romantic relationships, you are allowing that person to see a different side of you, and also you are allowing them and giving them a certain amount of power over how you feel. Or how that relationship can affect you. And I struggle with it a lot. I will not doubt that at all. I struggle with it a lot. I kind of touched on it earlier. I don't have a lot of really close. I'm about to cry right now just talking about it. This is crazy. I'm not going to cry. I don't have a lot of really close like friends. Oh, hold on. Getting myself together. I don't allow people to get very close to me. I've had experiences in my life where I have allowed the wrong people to be very close to me and they've hurt me. And so in my adulthood, if I allow people to be close, it's because it's not without like a lot of thought. And it almost feels like taking a risk because people can hurt you, and I'm a very loyal person. I'm a very caring person. And when I love people, I love them dearly. And to allow people to be close and to be vulnerable people takes a lot from me. So if I have a friend or if I get involved with someone, it's because it took a lot of trust, because vulnerability is so hard for me. And so to allow people to be close enough to me to where I can feel like safe enough to be vulnerable with them is a big deal for me. It's not that I don't like people. I just, I'm just very protective of my energy, and it is very difficult for me to be vulnerable. which you would be surprised because of the way I cry here, you would think that I'm just crying on everybody's shoulder, but I'm not. Not. I just feel like when we start talking here, like we always talk about things that this is a safe space for me. Like this is our place and this is a safe space for me. And so I think it feels different here.
Yeah.
Me being able to talk about certain things. Yeah.
So it's weird because I feel very similar to you in a certain sense of the vulnerability side of things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that I'm not recognizing by myself that I'm starting to recognize more of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a daily thing. It's just always a constant thing where I'm learning something new about myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The disconnect that I've been having with just life, period. And it's weird because I feel like the people that are in my life, they get me, but they, the people that obviously ain't there no more, they didn't understand me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand myself either.
And that's okay.
And I'm in a new space of learning new things about me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost to the point where I have changed it for people, friends, whatever it was. I've changed it for the benefit of wanting to be friends or wanting to have a relationship or wanting to have this. And I wasn't choosing me first.
Yeah.
And I think I'd more or less just started choosing me first now. I don't even care the end results of it. Not saying I don't care about people or care about the things. Mm-hmm. I just don't care about the end results. Like, I just at the point where now I can see why people move on in their lives so quickly. And I'm like, I don't ever want to feel like that. I ever want to do that, but I can see like what you're saying.
Yeah.
The vulnerable part is a thing. Like, I want to be vulnerable to somebody. I want to be vulnerable to people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's a safe space for me to always be vulnerable with people.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Because you don't know when somebody's going to use that against you.
True.
I'm always strategizing that. I know people try to make people relax and chill on some stuff, but I'm like,
yeah.
No. You give the wrong person things about you, they'll use it.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people stuff, they'll use it.
Right.
I've been in relationships, friendships, anything where I have told people, do not give too much. Because if you give too much, they're going to use it. And it's almost like people are willing to put so much of them out there, like you said earlier. Well, you were just talking about that on the live about people giving themselves too much early or giving too much of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you give too much of yourself, they're going to, not saying everybody, somebody is going to hurt you. And that's almost like handing a person a knife, and that's a potential killer, and saying, hey, don't stab me. I'm willing to give you this knife. And it's like, okay, I'll hold on to it for a little while. That's how they would think.
Yeah.
When it's time for me to use it, I'm going to use it though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel like what you're talking about, the vulnerability, is like your vulnerability takes away from your, it can take away from your vigilance and you're paying attention to details of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you become vulnerable with somebody and they become vulnerable back with you, I think they call that trauma bonding in a way. Y'all vulnerabilities have now like, oh God, like I love this person. And that's how it should be. But do you ever still have a guard up? Do you ever still have something up that will not allow a person to come in there and find their way to hurt you? Not everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about everybody. It's the people that will do it. They will do it. You just don't know when they're coming.
I think the problem and the idea though is that I think in life we don't want to live our lives always running from that kind of connection. The hope is to find someone that we can have those kinds of connections with and be vulnerable with. It's just the risk that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And how we choose to deal with that risk and handle that risk. That's the real journey. the hope is that we can find people that we can have a close connection with and can be vulnerable with and can feel safe with. But we always have to keep in mind that we're always running the risk of somebody could, someone could hurt you. I think for me, a lot of people can have lots of friends, like love lots of friends, and can let people in very easily, and it's not a hard thing for them. I just know for me personally, more so probably in my adulthood than in my younger days, it became increasingly more difficult for me, almost to the point where people thought that, Raquel doesn't really like people. Like, she don't like people and she don't like friends. And that's not true. I like people. I just, when it comes to closeness and letting people in, it's hard. That's all. I have a guard up. And it's not because I'm not a friendly person or I don't like people. It's just, my way of protecting myself.
Right. So, what level of what level of coping do you do or want to have for yourself when it comes to that side of you? Not necessarily just the vulnerable side, but just like being open more with someone. Are you looking for a particular person? Do you want a group of people? Like, what would you like?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of, I think I still feel very uncomfortable with the idea of it being a group of people. You know what I mean? I think if I had a group of friends, and I have friends, I think that even there would be different varying degrees of how vulnerable I'd be with different people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, not everybody would get all of me to that degree. I think for me, when it comes to communication with other people, when it comes to being able to have somebody to talk to, it's just going to be a level of trust and feeling safe within that space where I don't feel judged. And I also feel like the other person reciprocates that energy. So it would take, both of us being able to be vulnerable, both of us being able to reciprocate that energy with one another. I think when it comes in general, what I'm hoping for and hopefully, by talking through this,
what's going on, Tim?
We'll be able to work through that stuff. I know I need an outlet because I don't. And I don't even want to say I don't have people that I can talk to, because I don't believe that. I just know that I don't always feel comfortable doing it. And I want to be able to deal with life and life stresses in a healthier way. I want to be able to get it out and to talk about things or to process things. And if I'm not necessarily comfortable or have anybody in my life that I feel like I can do that with at the time, I need to know how to process it, because I know that what I do now is not healthy. Keeping it all bottled in and not talking to people about anything is not okay. It leads to 90% of my stress and my anxiety. Just holding on to things has not proven to be healthy for me. So, yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I think I do have that. I do have people that I talk to. About particular things. Like, I'll call my uncle. My uncle that was on here, he's good for just talking and listening. As far as friends and stuff like that, my friend Metz. So the number one person to probably go to when it comes to stuff like this, because it's the way he tries to help. He doesn't, and it's not discrediting anybody else. That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's just the way that he tries to help. He just comes in and he's willing to listen and learn. Our group. Yeah, Shane and I'm pretty good too. Yeah. it's really just like I said. I'm able to go to my friend Metz and talk to him, and his ear is so good, mind you. He lost his mother 4 years ago, with COVID being a big thing.
Oh.
So the fact that he still has that strength to be stronger than he even was before then
Yeah.
is the thing. You know, like that's love. That's everything. Like, and like I said, it's not to discredit anybody else. Not doing that at all. It's really just say how he talks to you, how he helps you understand what's going on,
right,
in a collaboratory way, is what I look for him. Now, other things, of course, I go to other people, but like just when it comes to stuff like that, deeper things, he's able to just have the conversation.
Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like he has a one-liner for me.
Yeah.
To get me to just understand something and then move on with my day.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people were listing in my live earlier, people were listing different ways that they cope with like their everyday stresses. Do you feel like you have a go-to coping mechanism, or do you feel like it depends on what the situation is?
I think I have a bunch of different ones.
Yeah.
I'll do my game. I'll make music. I'll play or watch TV. I'll do my walk, which I'm gonna do tonight because Mike is on vacation all week long, so I can do whatever the fuck I want for 7 more days.
Okay. Got it.
So, and then I like my VR headset. I have that now, so I'm able to like. Oh gosh, you gotta get a VR headset. You got to get one. You're gonna love it. But anyway, get into it. Just being able to sit in there and just play my little games on there. Plus, it's a community of people on there too. It's something that's going to be fun. So, I have a couple of different things that I do. When I chose to be joyful and happy, I really looked at the things to try to get me there. There are things that can get in the way of that sometimes, but it never lasts long. I rather it not last long with me than for it to last long. I like to just go ahead and move on in my life. That's all. And what I mean by that is like not hold on to negativity, like negative things that had happened. Like I can't be mad at my manager all day because he did something. Like that motherfucker gonna be here until he retires. So it's like I can't even really get mad at it. Like I just move on with my day. You know, like any other thing, car stress, like that's been a big thing. I just paid for my battery to get replaced. That was $300 almost. So it was like out of nowhere, all these different things is happening. Say, okay, I see what's happening. You know?
Yeah.
And I think I recognize them. I really don't even let them stress me because I live a life of happiness and I live a life of my privilege is high at this point now. What I have going on, it's hard work and it gives me that. I don't have privilege because of a silver spoon in my ass. I have a privilege because I put myself in a certain position.
Hold on. I think it's a silver spoon in your mouth, not in your ass.
No, I know. I'm saying that on purpose.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure we clarified for all the people watching. Silver spoon in your ass is not a thing, guys. Don't aim for that. Don't aim for the spoon to be in your ass.
No.
Just wanted to make sure.
I promise you, everything I love was thinking at it on. I was saying it to be smart, like I really was. But yes,
I just want to make sure we're clear.
You don't want the silver spoon in your mouth.
Yes.
No. So, some will basically say yes. You don't want that silver spoon there. I want the life for my daughter to be correct. That's what I care about. I want her to know that you can work hard and be successful if you keep working hard and acting. If you act like you're successful, what I mean by that is already dream forward. Don't necessarily just live in the now. Plan forward and then work your way through that. That's something you can do. When I plan to be where I'm at now in my life, I watch myself do it mentally. I watched myself take these steps because I planned it and it was like, yo, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And when I got to that point, I couldn't believe it, but I actually did it. And that's what I want to instill in her. I want to instill in her that, yo, you can do whatever the fuck you want. If you say you want to do it, go do that shit. Don't just sit on it. Don't dream it. Live it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you first, what is your favorite coping mechanism? And then I'm gonna go through a list piece of some that they gave us in live earlier. And I want to see, for everybody who's in here, how many people actually like this is what you go to help you cope with like normal stuff. What's your go-to, Mike?
All right, you gonna write it down?
I can, if it's not already on my list.
All right. So my main go-to is my game, of course.
Okay.
That's my main go-to.
Okay.
One of my tops that's starting to kick off. Listen, when you masturbate, right? That shit is top notch. That is a go-to for happiness.
That helps you get through your tough days. Okay. I mean, I'm no judgment, because okay. That was not on the list.
The amateur porns will help you do some things. You got to find the right one.
I'm so mad. Okay. Got it.
You writing that down?
No, I didn't. We'll just
right.
make a mental note,
okay.
Guys. Right. Mental note. We won't write it down.
Okay.
Okay.
Nah.
Some people go to people say food, which is crazy to me because when I am in a stressful situation, I cannot eat.
You got stress eating. That's a part of the thing. It's literally that's a part. That's one of the things on the list.
I cannot eat.
Yes.
So that is not one of mine. A lot of people said alcohol, like they'll have a drink.
Probably not a smart idea.
I don't do it, not because alcohol, like I get it. I get it as the same thing as like maybe smoking, but I don't know if it makes me feel any better. I think it's just gonna make me cry while I'm drunk. So no, I don't go to alcohol. The next one was interesting, journaling. Seneca, if you're in here, she mentioned that journaling is one that I should probably think about. I actually like that idea. I haven't really done journaling. But when I have hey Ness, when I have gone through some things, sometimes I will write out what I'm thinking or write out what I'm feeling. And it's hey Seneca. Seneca was talking about it earlier. She had mentioned journaling is one thing that I should think about. And you tend to write lyrics. That's nice. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
but I think that's for like musical people. I feel like my daughter would probably do that because she's a songwriter.
Oh snap!
Yeah, Lola does her own music and writes songs. But when I can, that just made me think about something. But when I write out what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, it feels like a release, because my problem is, just like I said earlier, when I shut down, I don't have anybody to talk to. Being able to get it out, even if it's just on paper, makes it feel like I'm purging those emotions to some degree.
Ooh, you said purging.
Yes. So maybe journaling might be something that I should think about doing like on a regular basis. And what it just made me think about was, I've never thought about this, but when I was, when I think about to the core, the first traumatic experience that probably ever happened to my life was probably when I was like 16. And back then I was I wrote, whether it was poems or it was just writing, I had a journal. And I think it probably saved me in a lot of ways. And I've not thought about that since. One of probably the toughest life altering experiences that I had in my life was when I was 15, 16. And back then I did write. Whether it was poetry, whether it was just a letter to a person that I, couldn't talk to or couldn't say what I needed to say to, because that's for whatever fear, or just you can't, say it. I literally had a book that I just wrote in every day. And I remember going back at one point and saw it, and it's pages full of super sad stuff that I didn't want to think about ever again. And I threw it away. But yeah.
You threw it away?
Yeah. It was too traumatic. The situation was too traumatic. and I didn't want to see it because it made me feel like I would be reliving the emotions that I felt during the time. So at that time, I threw it away because looking at reading what I wrote back then was hard for me to see. So I threw it away. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's something I never actually got a chance to do, is I actually write something. I feel like if I'd have wrote more stuff down, I probably would have been able to see things more.
Yeah.
I wish I knew I had the ability to do what I do now. I think that's my biggest thing, and I wouldn't say I regret it because I had to learn.
Right.
I wish I was able to be the person that I am now back then. And what I mean by that is go through the growing pains then and then become something now instead of actually going through the growing process of who I am now. Because I'm I don't know. I'm just, my focus is so different. It don't make no sense.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to be focused. I have a big task that I'm doing right now at this point. Yeah. So it's like, you
know. Seneca was saying she's burned some of her journals. Let's not do that bad boy away. I thinking about it now, I remember this is very probably a super vulnerable moment. I remember there was a time I was going through really bad depression, and I thought I considered ending my life. And I remember writing letters to my family. But I also remember in writing those letters, that experience being like a cathartic experience, because you're right, you know, of course, when you're thinking about something so terminal and so final, you write everything that you want to say. But I do remember that part of that process and writing those letters felt sort of like a release at the time, because you're writing it down. But I think, like, because, you know, you go through life and you go through stuff and you just forget about things. I just never thought about, like, maybe the power of what writing did for me back then, what it might mean for me now, or how it might help me, you know. So I told y'all this is going to be like an emotional thing. I'm not good at processing emotion and tough stuff. And I think when people see me, they automatically assume that life might just be like super easy, or because I don't wear my emotions on my sleeve. You probably wouldn't know. Usually when things are hard, I usually will disappear, because I'm not trying to put my stuff on other people. And so people don't really get to see me go through stuff. But I know that I don't always process things the best way. So it is sort of eye-opening to sort of think about how things have helped me in the past. Like, even at my most vulnerable moments when I was younger, you just forget about that stuff as you live life. And you go through stuff and you deal with life all the time. You forget about how certain things, how you coped through life. When I think about, if I were to tell y'all like some of the stuff that I've been through in my life, I'm not saying that I've had the hardest life in the world, because everybody has dealt with stuff, and people have dealt with way worse than I have. I fully acknowledge that. But just sometimes when I think about like how what I have to think about, what made me, how I got through certain stuff. You know what I mean? Like, how did you get through it? Like, sometimes I literally have to ask myself, like, how did you get through that and still end up on top? Like, or like end up sane, you know what I mean? Or like end up like just being who you are. Like, how did you get through it? And also, how, if those things and how you got through it, if those were the best ways for you to get through it. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I think about some of the toughest things that I went through, a lot of times it had to do with like, just, I had to shut down the emotion. I couldn't deal with the emotion. I had to just focus on fixing it, living. I had to focus on surviving. I had to focus on doing what was best for me and my daughter. There was no time to cry. You do what you have to do to get us through it. You know what I mean? And I think that has a lot to do with how people, end up handling things the way they handle it. When you have to survive and you have no choice but to survive, and there's no time for crying. I know some of the ladies in here might be able to like identify, especially when you're like a single parent, or even some of like the men in here. When you're a single parent, you don't get a chance. Like,
what's up, Chaz?
There's no time for you to break down. We don't have that option.
Yeah.
You just have to push through. And I think that also probably is a lot of the reason why I don't always process emotion correctly, because I have taught myself that crying and breaking down is not going to get you anywhere. We got life to live. I got a child to take care of. I still have to push. And when you get in that rut, in that pattern, then you start to like not really process things properly, because you're pushing it down so that you can keep moving, you know? So yeah. That was all from journaling. Sorry, y'all. Someone mentioned in the live earlier that they go to prayer. I pray hard every day. And because sometimes God is the only person I get to talk to. Seneca also mentioned coloring. Was that you, Seneca, who was saying about coloring? I had another friend tell me that she does these puzzles. I don't know what they're called, but she said it helps her.
Crossword puzzles?
De-stress. No, it's like the little, like these, almost like these maze puzzle things. I can't remember what it's called.
Crossword puzzles. You're talking about the actual mazes that.
Yeah, like those puzzles, like the it's like a maze almost, but they do this thing that also kind of comes in like those coloring book things, but it helps them to like go through to process and like decompress.
I will say this. I want her to finish her points, and but I want to get to what she just mentioned. I want to get to something with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start that comment so I can see it.
Yeah. Therapy was another one that someone talked about, which I always think is a viable option for people to think about, like having, if you don't have anybody to talk to find a therapist that you can talk to. Venting to friends, which I feel like is great when you have people that you feel like you can trust in that way. I just struggle with it sometimes. And that's a me thing. It's not saying that my friends are not people that I can talk to. That's a me thing. That has everything to do with me not being able to do it. Staying busy, keeping your mind preoccupied could be a way of coping. Meditation. That was one Caprina had mentioned. Going on walks. I think, Mike, you said you do walks sometimes too. Somebody said they like to like smoke, like light one real quick, smoke it out.
Light it up.
Stuff, decompression. Video gaming. Jinx was mentioning like bowling, and I think Seneca also mentioned tennis as well. So like just doing like activities. Sometimes exercise can help too, like just working out.
Yeah. What's up, Joy? Was Joy already here? Welcome in if you just come in.
Welcome, Joy.
Sometimes if I'm alone in a space to be free, I hit record on my phone and just cry out my thoughts and feelings. Kind of feels like someone is listening without interruption for me.
Lord.
Yeah, that's a good way to trick yourself with it. I will say, like, still a lot to unpack with what you just said. And it's not even like I'm trying to unpack it. It's just more or less trying to understand you and the things that you go through. And we, as people, deal with these mechanisms as best as we can, or at least try to do them. As you talking, it's almost like I start recognizing stuff about me, and I'm like, fuck. Like,
that's the beauty of like doing this.
Yeah.
I feel like when we get to talk about things and hear other people's perspectives, it makes you think. Just like just by her mentioning journaling and me thinking about writing, I didn't even realize the connection that it had from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of when we do this and we all get to talk. People can bring up things that spark thoughts about our own, like how we process things, you know?
Right. So I'm gonna get to Seneca's question, or what she had wrote. She had wrote, as women of color, we are expected to be strong and figure it out. I'm gonna read something for you.
Okay.
That has everything to do with what you're talking about. So with women, a lot of women experience a lot of isms, if you know what I mean. Sexism, racism, colorism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like to be a brown skinned woman to be judged because you're brown skinned, to be a lighter tone woman to be judged because you're lighter.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that you do, that y'all are coping with. And I'm starting to, and the reason why I'm kind of learning and liking this conversation, because I'm starting to understand people as I'm listening to what this thing is talking about. I have major disconnects with certain things because in my mind, I'm like, well, why don't y'all just not do it? Or why won't y'all just like, don't focus on the fact that somebody's just calling you this, like understand who you are and whatever. But I, as I'm listening to this, I'm realizing how silenced y'all are for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So me coming along and saying something that feels positive to me can also be another form of silencing you.
And yeah, I can see how that
Not that it's trying to silence you.
Yeah.
It can, because I'm trying to tell you to let loose, but that makes you want to step back even more. Because I haven't had a proper conversation to even understand you.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy not maybe a couple years ago, and we were talking about anxiety, and he said something that I think he thought was helpful, but it felt really diminishing at the time. He was like, "Well, then just let it go," you know.
Well, I didn't say that, but got you.
But you know what I mean? He was like,
Yeah.
just like you're making yourself have anxiety. Like, just stop. Like, why are you and it was the most condescending thing like I'd ever heard. Like, it is not. Don't I wish? You don't think I wish that I could just let it go? You know, but I get what you mean. Like, not necessarily that's the exact thing that you're talking about, but he was trying to be helpful in a way that he thought was helpful because that's how he does it, but it had nothing to do with me.
Right. And yeah, that's basically what it is. Like, you feel like that you're unintentionally doing something. Like, my intent is to never hurt somebody, so the words that come out of my mouth is always a certain way. But then I might say something that's just that it answers another question, and I'm like, why am I being asked a question again? And it's like, oh, I have to now sit back and understand it about myself.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there's something that you're doing, so I have to try to learn. And sometimes the best way to learn is to ask you what exactly I've done. You know, like, give me something that I'll be able to work with so I can move on, you know, like, or try my best to not target those things or trigger those things. So, yeah, and Seneca, that's the thing. It's like my delivery will never be, my delivery will always be with carefulness. I'm not delivering it a certain way. Even if I have a question mark in my delivery, it's a reason why I'm doing that, because I need to know something. But I want to get to this real quick. A lot of women experience this. I'm gonna read this paragraph, and you tell me how does this feel towards what we're talking about. Now, this has everything to do with racial trauma, right?
Okay.
The benefits of disclosing experiences of racism is demonstrated in science. A study of African American women, those who experience frequent everyday racism, and reported that they keep it to themselves, were shown to have shorter telomeres Shorter telomere length is an indicator of chronic stress exposure, aging, and morbidity. Well, morbidity. Did I
How
say
is
that right? Morbidity. Morbidity.
morbidity?
Morbidity. Okay. Sorry. Morbidity. But yes, it says that women will engage in prayer, mindfulness, spiritual practices, and use of mantras. I do know a lot of women that use prayer and other things like card readings, and they become tarot. They become more synced with themselves, energy-based people, because the focus is now got in a certain way, and it's so dope because I'm not gonna say it's dope because of. I don't want to. Let me see. I don't want to diminish what the reason why a lot of women will possibly do that. I want to respect it first, but I also want to say, like, going back to your roots is a thing. A lot of women will go back to their roots, and that's a lot of their practices. But some women will go to there because of. We're talking about pain. We're not talking about just somebody doing something, but we're talking about physical pain, mental pain. Something that they can't ever come back from type of pain, like, and they're just trying to find energy and find whatever they can to come back, to reality and come back to life. So that it says practice self-care, engage in activities that you enjoy and make you happy. That's another one. Learn to be aware and recognize the symptoms of racial trauma. Example, basically, fatigue, anxiety, depression, difficult sleeping. Identify similar ways to cope with these symptoms. Make a list of situations, people, or places that trigger your symptoms of trauma, and make a similar list of ways to cope for each of these situations, people, or places. That's what I told you I do. Remember when you were saying, like, do you have pieces of it? I create a whole bunch of different things for myself. I literally plan my day out. It sounds wild, but I wake up at 5 a.m., right? I mean, not 5 a.m. I wake up at 3 something in the morning. I think for a little bit and I get my life obviously together. But then when I'm going to work, I look at all possibilities of something possibly go wrong at work. So I really look at my day. Okay, when I get there at 5 o'clock, I'm going to chill out and I'm going to do this. I'm signing into this, blah, 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 blah. Get ready for this. Chances are I'm going to have an issue with this compressor. It's going to give me a tiny bit of stress because I want to fix it and I want the shit to be done, but it's going to give me a tiny bit of stress. I know my manager's going to come flying through the door, happy as go lucky, whatever. He's going to possibly ignore me because he really doesn't like me as much. I prepare myself for all these different things. I literally prepare for how I'm going to ignore him just in case he don't say nothing. These are just little practices that I do throughout the day. And then by the time 10:30 hits, I already know now what the plan of my whole rest of my day is. I'm not even paying attention to what's happening from 10:30 till I leave. I care less about anything else. I'll start doing push-ups and shit. I'll start doing other stuff and then work on my compressor. Do some more push-ups, do some more stuff, then work on my compressor. Like, those are the things I've been doing. And then when I find out, I already, like, if Marcus hit me up and say, yo, you trying to fight for democracy today? I'll be like, okay, we're going to play the game or whatever. So we'll play the game. Or if I plan to go home and go to fuck to sleep, that's a plan of mine. I look forward to that. So it's like, those are things like that pretty much that piece is talking about.
I think after this one, everyone has their own solution.
I'm just reading it up.
Oh no, I just wanted to see. I think that it's I feel like it's wonderful that you have found a way to manage stress through the day, and a lot of people don't even know like how to be able to do that, or we just don't. Not that we don't have the tools, but it may not come as easy. I think that's the hard part, like, because it comes, and I get what you mean by you sometimes like thinking about, you suggest, well, why don't you do this, and you're not necessarily meaning to diminish the other person's stress, but you know that works for you, and so why can't it work for other people? And I think what we're all realizing here in this conversation is just that it doesn't always work that way. Like, it has worked for you. It is how you have managed through things, but it isn't always that black and white. To what Seneca has been saying, and I'll just pull up her last comment. I think and I think, of course, for Black men, it definitely weighs the same way, but maybe in different ways. Because I feel like, you know, as people of color, we, whether it be culturally, whether it be dealing with racism, we deal with and handle things and are expected to handle things in a very different way. And we also have different life stressors that a lot of people cannot identify with because they are not people of color. And we have to often tailor our lifestyle and the way we live and the way we move through life a certain way because we are people of color. And also within that, our cultural upbringing also has a lot to do with how we handle things. And like when we were talking about, we had our women's mental health panel, and I had mentioned about our mothers and whether or not that has a lot to do with how we handle like our stresses. My mom being you know, a Black woman, you know, and coming up in the Baptist family, like talking about mental health issues was not a thing. It was about, you know, it just wasn't like God. We do, you know, it was trusting in God. And so she just handled things in a very different way, whether or not it was always the best way, because she wasn't really dealing with certain things head on. You know, it's really left for her to say, but I feel like we are just taught to handle things a certain way. I know personally for me, growing up in that household, there was a lot of things that I felt like I couldn't fail at. I feel like I didn't have room to make mistakes. I felt like I couldn't talk about things in certain ways. I couldn't talk about things with my mom in certain ways because, you know, not that she didn't love me or didn't want to be a help to me, but she didn't really understand how to help me. You know what I mean? And also just the fear of being a disappointment or letting her down. And as I got older, and then the situation switched to me having to be able to figure out how to cope because I had my own child, a lot of the pressure came with, I have to have this certain amount of strength. I have to be this kind of person. I have to raise my child in a certain kind of way. I have to provide a certain kind of life for her. And because of that, I didn't always deal with the stuff that hurt me personally in the right way. I had to swallow it. I had to push it down. I had to snuff it out almost, because the responsibility came to being a certain kind of mother and a certain kind of parent and giving her a certain kind of life. And I remember having a conversation with somebody who was talking about something that was bothering them. And I remember feeling like I couldn't sympathize with them because I said to myself, well, when stuff like that happened to me, I just kept it moving. You know what I mean? I just kept it pushing. And it desensitized me almost to other people who were dealing with things and feeling the stress of it. And they were like, I can't handle this, because I didn't have any time or space to say, I can't handle this right now, or it's too much. I just had to push through. But what I have found in the long term is that what it has made me do is push everything down. So now I don't cope with things. And now everything is just bubbling under the surface. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that, you know, that's how I directly correlate race with it. It's just I feel like we're brought up in a very certain way. And not only that, but just the way we move through life has to be a certain way. And that's what makes it even difficult with coping with life. Even more difficult when it comes to coping with life.
Yeah. I don't know enough to say as far as that. You got your point off, so
yeah.
I'll just move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Someone said earlier that they dealt with a friendship breakup a certain way. Who was it? It was Chaz. Chaz was saying that he processed a friendship breakup that way. What way were you talking about, Chaz? It made me think about how we how have you ever had to like process a friendship breakup in a certain way? Have you ever had a friendship breakup? What was I'll go first. I had a friendship breakup and that shit was hard. And I felt like I grieved it. I grieved the loss of that friendship. And I did it, but I also feel like I didn't cope with it to this day. We've had a conversation since, and
but never can get back to where y'all was at.
It's me. I'm the problem here. I think they would like to be able to mend the relationship. I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling with it not because I don't want to be friends, but because I don't know how to deal with the emotion of it, because it was hard. You know what I mean? Like, it hurt to lose those, those friendships. It hurt. And I don't know how to process it. And I don't know if I'm ready. And I don't know how to, I just don't know how to move forward. You know what I mean? I feel like I grieved it. It was very hard for me. I had to figure out a way to get past it. It felt like a loss. It felt very hard. I valued those friendships. It was a very weird way how, it all kind of happened. And even though I think idealistically, I say I want to, I would love to try. I'm struggling. And I don't really know how to start, because it feels like a lot. And like I said, I don't know how to, dealing with emotions that feel really big feel very hard for me. I'd rather just push it away and not deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I don't think it was a male friend. It was a woman friend.
Mm-hmm.
One of our best friends. That one really bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It don't bother me necessarily now, but when I start thinking, I get bothered by it. So I don't think about it at all. I do kind of what you do, but I just kind of just let it fly by, let it go.
Yeah.
Because I watched that person go through so much hurt, so much pain, and I was always there.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a small thing to happen for her, not for me, but just for her feelings, and just watch it dissipate like that.
Yeah.
That was a tough thing to do. So
yeah. Cynic was saying forgiveness to the other person and yourself. It's funny because I feel like part of the process to help me get through it was forgiveness. I don't hate them. And I have so much love for them still. Yeah, I still have so much love for them. Honestly and truthfully, no hatred and so much love for them. And I really honestly want nothing but the best. I have no anger, no ill feelings. But I just know that certain conversations will probably have to be had. And I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I can process those feelings without it feeling like too much. That is my fear. I don't know if I can do it. I think it took a long time for me to be okay after the loss of the friendship. And then even knowing now that I still have no ill will, I honestly wish them the best and want the best for them. When it comes to actually dealing with it head on and having a conversation, I don't know if I can. I honestly don't. I don't know if I'm ready to deal with the feeling of it. That's what I'm struggling with. And I know they probably feel like I'm just avoiding it and I don't care about the relationship, but that's not the case at all. It's just, it took a lot out of me. And I'm not good at processing those emotions head on. I'm just not. I can say that. And so yeah, that's where we are. It's me. It's completely, and when it comes to that particular situation, it's completely me. I'm not prepared for it. I don't know if I can do it.
Do it in your time if it seems fit to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get to everybody's comments real quick because this is about that time we just start paying attention to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
She says, I had a few friendship breakups. I just stopped talking. Probably not proper, but it worked for me. Just felt like you don't have to tell people how they made you feel, and some hurts just cut too deep.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Depending on if they say things that, my thing is, this is the part. I think it's more or less it's what you say. Because I can mend a friendship with anybody, but certain things you say is probably the thing that's going to stop me from.
You know what? I'm the opposite. It's not what you say, it's how you handled it. To me, I am good with, let's just take a breakup. If you say to me, I don't love you anymore, or I can handle that more so than you just treating me unkindly. You can tell me the thing, I can handle with the fact. And I think that has a lot to do with the way I process things.
Mm-hmm.
It's how you treated me or how you handle me that is the thing that hurts me. But if you just say the thing, tell me what the thing is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care what you say.
Give you a chance to
I need the finality of it. You know what I mean? I need cut and dry. I need to understand. I don't want to question. I don't want to wonder. Just tell me. Whatever the hard thing is, just say it. Right. It's how you handle me in the process.
Wow.
I write evil letters to people that they never get read. It helps me process my feelings and emotions and keep me out of jail. Listen, that I'm telling you, the more I think about writing stuff down, the better it sounds. Like just being able to say to somebody, or it's like you're saying it, but even though you don't get to say it.
Yeah. I got you. Now this is the thing. The only reason why I know this because I do realize this about you.
Okay.
It's more so if I had to pick what I think, my observations have kicked in at this point.
Got it.
And when they kick in, you know how they kick in. So I know that you can be a friend to anybody. It actually has nothing to do with me at all. This has nothing to do with me. I think it's more or less now. You've probably been so used to doing this process that even if you knew you can get a friend, you're not going to go get them. Because I think you're okay with where you're at. And it's more or less like you can handle it by yourself. Or you can, even though you want the help, you can handle it by yourself. You've handled it for so long.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, like I said, inviting people into my life is a hard thing for me to do, letting people get close. And a lot of times it's not that I can't be friendly with people. And a lot of times people do want to be closer. And I think sometimes I might come off as like standoffish and cold. And it's not because I don't like people. It's just very hard for me to let people get close to me. And I don't actively seek out like new friendships. I don't actively seek out new people. And even when it comes to like love and relationships, sometimes it takes a lot for me to get to a place where I'm able to say, okay, I want to do this, or I want to be in this relationship. And like I said earlier, sometimes it comes with a lot of thought. Right. And it takes a lot for me to be like, yeah, okay, I can do this. I can process this, or this is something I'm willing to take that risk for, because it is almost the point where I just rather I could just be alone than deal with the hurt that sometimes happens. I've had like I said, and everybody has it. Like we've all been hurt, but I think for me, I really have to, like, it's hard for me to like let the wall down and let people in. It's very, very hard. It's a really hard process for me.
Yeah.
So when I do, and if for whatever reason, if that relationship should go awry or things end, it hurts almost deeper for me because it took me a lot to get there. And I don't have a lot of people in my life that I let get really close. So for whatever reason, if those relationships end, it hurts even worse because I know what it took for me to get to that place where I let you into my life. You know what I mean? And I had to really trust you. And yeah, it's just hard. It's like it's even harder to process. When those relationships have to like end for whatever reason, because it took a lot for me to even let people into my life, and so then now I gotta let you go. Like that's hard.
Yes,
like,
I get that.
To let you go, like that's even harder. It took me forever for me to like let you in.
Yeah.
And now I have to let you go.
Yeah,
like,
I get that a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think that is more or less like, I'm gonna tell you what I'm coping with currently. What I'm currently coping with. This is actually a thing. I'm coping with I'm trying to see how I can say this. With people like with people not checking in with me.
Okay.
I don't think people check in with me enough. I didn't realize it.
Like to check on you and see how you're doing.
I didn't realize that people don't really check on me.
Do you know, and not to say this is an excuse.
Yeah.
I think because you always come off as everything is great and fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think not because they don't think that you can go through things, but sometimes people, their natural default is to think that you're okay.
Yeah.
Because Mike's always going to be okay. You know what I mean? Because you always come off as like, I'm good and I'm happy and I know how to handle things and I'm great. And you don't really show when you're stressed or like you're having like a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's probably people's, you know how they say check on your friends, that your strong friends. I think that's kind of like the thing that you're dealing with, like, because you always come off as someone who's always happy and always in a good mood and never really affected by stuff. I think that's why people don't always check in, because they assume he's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. That's what I noticed it the most. I think is more or less like I realized that I'm always the one that's like having those conversations with the and what I mean by the conversations is just like there's times where I'm like I'm at work and I'm talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always in position to defend or try my best to defend. Even if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, I'm trying. You know, like I'm not trying to hurt nobody. I'm not even trying to hurt the people that I'm talking to in defense of other people. I got you, Chaz. Of course. Well, let me actually go bring this back just a little bit. People have ways of checking in. Chaz is one of the people that will call me on a Saturday, the group chat, and just talk to us. So that's a version of people checking in. Everybody does it different.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and I've said this to people, I've said this to the person recently. Sometimes, and I'm never crowning myself for something like that, but when does people not check on Superman? When do they check on Clark Kent?
Yeah.
When do they check on Bruce Wayne? You know, when do they check on these people? I'm gonna tell you this now. One of the biggest things, and we all know that we understand Bruce Wayne is a billionaire. He can take care of the world. He can do whatever. He just chooses to do what he do. It's a problem. It's a problem character-wise. But let's just look at the Bruce Wayne character. When we talk about Batman, all you know is Batman. but we forget that Bruce Wayne watched his mom and dad die right in front of him and be killed.
Mm-hmm.
Forget that he literally is that character because his name is Vengeance. That's stress and anxiety all in its own right there. He'd rather fight a fucking shit ton of criminals than to get checked out.
Right.
No. What I mean by that is, and my points behind it, and this is, see, Chaz, that's what, and it's not you, Chaz. Believe me, it's not you. What you say is an example of what I was talking about when I say is the reason why I will talk to Metz, because his answer back to me wouldn't be that. Not saying that you're saying anything wrong. You're telling this is honestly God truth. But how I view it is that there's characters, there's people that don't get checked on. That's pretty much what it is. How do you check on that person? You know, I'm presenting myself in that way to say, like, I'm always in position to help.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I don't feel like that same thing gets returned. And it's like, okay, I get it. I'm not asking for it. I just wonder it. You ever just see somebody just do things that you don't really ask for, and it's just like, yo, that was dope that you even thought to do something like that.
Yeah.
That stuff is what I think about, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's like when I look at stuff, I have to pay attention to, yo, you're probably just the leader, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. It's because people also think that you, like, one, you're the strong
Mm-hmm.
one, you're the happy one, but also I think, and I hope that people don't. I hope it's a weird balance, because one, we have to understand, and I felt like you before, where I felt like people didn't think that because I'd handled things the way I handled them, everybody always assumed I was strong, and so I didn't need to be checked on. And I remember that feeling terrible, because I wanted someone to be there for me too. But I also have to remember that when people don't do it, it's not a lack of caring. You know, it's maybe sometimes they're just dealing with their own shit. You know, that could be it too. Like, they are dealing with shit too. And it's not that it makes it okay, because we also have to be cognizant that everybody's dealing with stuff and everybody has their stuff, and we want to be there for our people. But sometimes we can get so lost in our own stuff that we forget about that other people can be going through things too. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like it's twofold. Like, we have to, even though we're going through things, we have to remember that we're not the only ones.
Yeah.
And we do need to check on our strong friends, because just because they appear strong doesn't always mean that they are.
Right. Yeah. Chaz says, no, I feel you on that. Sometimes people don't like to stress the question. I like the game. Really, we're really not strangers. Has a card that says, so how are you doing really? And we should ask that more. Yeah. All right. I agree. Big time. I send random texts, but sometimes people think I'm being fake because random things bring people to mind through my day. Okay.
Okay. They think that you're fake for sending text messages.
Yeah. I'm an empathetic.
She's an empath.
Empath, yeah, I say now. And am a lot of people's sounding board, so it can take a lot out on me when I'm also struggling sometimes too. Right.
Listen, when I tell you, I had to end a friendship because I felt like a person never thought about the fact of the heaviness that they were putting on me at all times. It was a lot, and they never were considerate of the fact that I could potentially be dealing with my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it became almost like it became too much to handle. Like it was during any time of the night, any time of the day, just a lot, like just pouring it on me. And I tried so hard to be there for them until it felt like it was too much, because I couldn't deal with I couldn't deal with it. It was too heavy. It was all the time. It was at awkward times too. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like, and I think what made it hard was that this person didn't have when I went to that person for something, they couldn't be there for me in the same way. That made it even harder.
Yeah.
When I reached out to them to say I'm struggling with something, they didn't even know how to be there for me. And it made it even more difficult. I feel like when you can build a relationship with somebody where you can be there for each other, then maybe that makes it not as hard. You know what I mean? Like if we can both be there for one another when we're both struggling and we can be there and lift each other up, then I don't have that much of I will be there for you because we're there for each other. But if I'm the only one that's doing all the being there and you don't know how to be there for me when I need it, we gotta something's gotta give. Because I go through stuff too. Yeah. And if you can't be there for me in the same ways that I'm there for you, there's an imbalance of this friendship right here.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, this is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting conversation because we have so many different things that we have going on in our lives. It's like, how do we really cope with everything? And coping is more or less a personal thing. It's your personal choice to either become vulnerable or a personal choice to just choose to do something different, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like, because I'm not trying to sacrifice myself for just a sheer thing of like just compromising myself. It's not too smart to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
So, let me read this other thing of coping. I know that a lot of people deal with this coping, in particular the anxiety level of coping. Coping with anxiety. And obviously like the feelings of anxiety is feeling nervous, feeling helpless, sense of independent panic, danger, increased heart rate, hyperventilating, sweating, trembling, excessively thinking about the panic. Like, I would also add in there self-sabotaging can be an anxiety thing, where you would do things to get people to stay away from you. Because I just know that some people they feel like they're constantly that problem. It's them, and it's like you can't even really say anything because it's like, what do you say to a person that deals with that or has that going on with themselves? What do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say? They have to do the work to come out of it. So it's like coping is one of the things. Talk to the therapist and write shit down. I think that's what I want to get more into, starting to write stuff down. So what does that mean?
I think she's hoping that we pick up what she's putting down. As a person who struggles with anxiety, coping is hard. We've talked about it several times. I have no problem saying I have generalized anxiety disorder. When I am at a low, it is a very hard time for me. I struggle, and I suffer from physical symptoms of my anxiety. So my anxiety will manifest physically through things. I have been blessed in my life to have a few people who can recognize the signs of anxiety in me and who know me well enough to spot it without me saying it. And to be there for me when I need them. And I'm so thankful for them because I don't, like I said, I don't usually talk about it with people. I usually just shut myself off and try to process it on my own, which I think we've all figured out by the end of this conversation that is obviously not the way we want to go, or that I should go. But I to be able to have somebody notice what you do, like gestures or the way you might respond to certain things, or they can look at you and see that you're going through something and be able to recognize that in you and ask you what's happening right now, because I know you're not okay. To be able to have that, I think, is a gift. It's a gift for me, because I'm not going to openly say I'm dealing with something, you know what I mean, or I'm having a really hard time with something. And so to have somebody who can spot it and see it, and also not only that, but who can recognize what you need and how you need to process that anxiety. Because some people think that they're helping and they're not. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know how to help you cope, so they go to what helps them cope, and then that's only just making you even more frustrated, because that's not what you need right now. What you might need is someone to say, you can tell me how you feel.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about it. Like, let's process it. Let's talk about
Someone who genuinely cares. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a gift to have stuff like that, because especially if you're someone like me who tends to shut off, to be able to have someone recognize it in you and then give you the space to pour it out is valuable. It means a lot to have that. Let's see. Yes, I have a few people in my life. They don't. True. Let me tell you something. It's even harder. It's even harder when that person, for whatever reason, ends up being someone that you can't talk to at the time. Like, or they might have something to do with a thing that might be causing you anxiety, and you can't talk to them in the same way that you would normally talk to them. Now you're stressed because your go-to person is the person who's also like in it with you, and you can't talk to them. Like, that's hard too. You know what I mean? When you might be dealing with something and it directly involves that person, and that's your person that you go to talk to about everything. Rough. Super rough.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of us do deal with, is that anxiety level of stress. I think that's pretty much number one on there, because I feel like it goes hand in hand with it. It's just, how do we continue to try to learn how to manage it and get better with it. Now, like, listening to what you said, if you know, for you, and this ain't me inviting myself or inviting anything, let's say you know exactly what your trigger is. If you know what your trigger is, do you think is that time when that's happening to actually now be like, okay, this is it. Let me go reach out to the person now, or let me go reach out to someone now, because I'm here.
Is this a question you're asking me right now?
Yeah. Like, do you think that that's something that you can do? Like,
no,
because you're here. Like, okay.
And here's the thing. Like, we'll just say with you, I know that you would be somebody who would want me to be able to talk to. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me.
Right.
And not being able to reach out when I need it. Here's the sad part, is that, like, I often get angry in certain situations when people won't tell me they need help. And I realize that I don't ask for help either. And it is unfair for me to get angry with other people when they want to isolate, when I know that I do it too.
But you know what? And that's probably the reason why I asked you that, because of the fact that you live the reality of it. You're living the current reality of it. So it's more or less like, how does a person come in? How do a person, like, there's a question I ask, and it's constant. I don't, it's how do you want me to show up for you?
Yeah.
Because if I show up as Mike, it might be a problem. But how can I help you? I'm of assistance, not of ego and problems, and no, do it my way or it's just not going to happen at all. I don't mind adapting to who you are.
Yeah.
As long as it ain't problematic.
Right. I think what I usually would probably say in that case is like, as long as you know that I'm not always going to come, forward and say something, and that it also hopefully be understanding enough to know that it has nothing to do with like our friendship or whether or not I trust whether or not I can talk to you. It has a lot to do with me and my own personal hangups. But if when I say I need to talk, if you can let it, even if it's just to listen, you know what I mean? You don't have to say anything back. Sometimes I need that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not all, it's just very hard for me to reach out. It's hard for me to reach out. And it's hard for me to say this happened. So do know that when those moments happen, when I do say something, it's because, that's when like I need it. Like I have to. And just to be able to be someone who can listen and will let me like just put it out there. That to me is more than enough, for somebody to be understanding and want to listen means a lot to me because I don't always do it. I have a friend that's very, very close to me and will let me talk about anything. But sometimes they want to help me by making things light and fun. And that's not what I might need at the time.
Right.
I need you to just listen. Don't like break it up with a joke. You know what I mean? Don't like try to like throw me off by saying something funny or talking about something silly. Because if I'm venting to you, it took me a lot to get to that place to vent to you.
Right.
So really what I just need is for you to listen. That's it. Like I just want you to listen because it took me a lot to be able to even say this.
Right.
Because I'm not normally going to ask for help. So if you deflect because you think that might make me feel good, it's not. It's not. It's just making me want to push it back down and not say anything.
Right.
Seneca was saying, for me, I feel like communicating, I just need to vent helps in the jump because when I say it out loud, it loses its power. I think that says a lot for me too. I think when I can get it out, it takes some of the heaviness away. If I can just, whether it's writing it down or saying it out loud, if I can just get the emotions out, I think that's what makes it hard when like you have unresolved issues with a person and you never get to talk about something with a person. It is very difficult for me because I sometimes just need to say the thing, or I just want to hear you say the thing. Clarity and closure is super important. But what I've also learned through life is that I cannot demand a person to give me clarity on my timeline if it doesn't work for them. Right. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people might need more time to process things. Sometimes people might need more time to understand what's happening to them on their own time. And I can be like, I need it, but I need it now because I don't like the way this makes me feel. And I want to talk about it right now. And that sometimes is really, it's unfair because maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not ready. But I do know that for me, that level of communication and just saying it, whether than not talking, if that period, when you have a person, when you're with a person that, and you and that person share very different communication styles, it is a struggle because that waiting period for me, that not talking about it period for me kills me. it is hard because for me, getting it out and just saying whatever it is the thing that's going to relieve the stress.
Right.
Me being able to say this is bothering me is the thing that's going to relieve the stress. You saying what is bothering you for me is the thing that's going to relieve the stress, because now we know what it is and we can work towards figuring out what will make it better. But that interim period of where we're not talking about it because we're trying to figure things out, a struggle.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I got you. Gotcha.
I always tell people, like, I'm not an easy person to, like, probably, I may not be an easy person to love because I know that I have my own, like, struggles. And I may not be an easy friend to have because I have my own struggles. And I know, I know those things, but I am trying, I'm trying. I always want to be a good friend to people. I want to be, better, but I have to be able to be honest and say that there are a lot of things that I probably struggle with emotionally. And a lot of it stems from past trauma.
Yeah.
And it's a constant, I'm constantly trying to work on it and trying to figure it out. And that's why I said, like, this conversation is something that, like, I knew would be big for me, because I know that I don't cope with things always in the best way. And it can make life super, super hard. When you know that you're not always handling things in the healthiest way, Oh. But I'm sure we all struggle in different ways. I'm sure we all do.
Okay. So let me ask you this. I ain't gonna say let me ask you this, but knowing that we know this about that this is past things, we talk about them. So this is therapeutic in its own. Obviously, guys talking about it and getting to a certain space. So what preparation can we do now to start the process of moving forward and growing away from these things? And what I mean by that is, think about this. We spend our childhood dealing with certain things, right? Some of us, whatever. Now we spend our adulthood trying to pay for those things, trying to pay the debt, trying to get rid of it, but we continuously get stuck in it. So, when do we mimic real life and treat ourselves to residual income? And what I mean by that is give ourselves residual happiness and residual things. Like I said, I have my moments where I don't feel too good. I don't feel this, but I also treat myself to those happinesses and stuff like that. Not saying that this is for anybody, but I think that I figured something out. And yeah, I go through things and I still struggle with stuff, but I'm also still happy, genuinely.
Yeah.
I'm also still, pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
So where do we get to a point where we start to grow from that?
Right. I think, for me, in the past couple years of my life, I think it has taken me understanding, me really trying to dig deep and figure out and understand what are the things that led me to this place, right? What are the reasons why I respond in certain ways, and what are the reasons why I do certain things? And then once having those answers, trying to figure out how I can change those things, right? But I have to ask the questions first, right? That's why I feel like when we get here and we talk about certain things, the realization that certain things have for me is deep. I don't take those moments for granted when we're here and we're talking, and when people bring up things, and it helps me realize certain things about myself that maybe I didn't realize before, because to me, that's one step closer to me being able to make the changes that I need. I feel like, I really do need to explore outlets. And this is just me talking personally, me exploring different outlets to help me to deal with stuff is super important because I know that I need another outlet other than bottling things up. I know that I do. I really know that it may take also therapy for me to be able to feel comfortable with letting people in. That might be a thing that I have to explore, because it's not something that is going to come easy for me. But just being able to acknowledge and recognize what those things, like what the things are, you know what I mean? Like being in that acknowledgement helps me to be able to try or to say, I want to find another path out of this because this is not what's working. And I know where it's coming from. So now I got to figure out like what to do. And what are my alternatives and what are my options and how can I change it? Like knowing what other options are and what feels good for me. And then actively doing those things, being active, like not sitting back and not doing it. You know what I mean? But actively trying to work on it.
Understood. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
always going to try. I'm always going to try.
That's the best you can do.
I feel like I'm just in a place in my life where I'm really just trying to recognize like what certain things are and why certain things don't work, because I don't want to always like repeat these same patterns. I don't want to always feel like I'm in this same like rut of not being able to like deal with and process emotions in a healthy way. But I do like a lot of it takes like introspection and really am I saying that correctly? Introspection is that the correct thing, y'all? Somebody tell me if I made that word up. But like looking.
Don't ask me.
Looking within,
I would
really
know.
Trying to understand myself
right
is important, and knowing what the root cause of certain things is important so that I can identify it and then try to make a change. You know, but first it takes like really trying to identify it. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Marcus, for stepping in and telling me, because I was like, that word don't sound right. But like really trying to like look within and figure out what the triggers are and pinpoint it so that I can be able to make those changes. Because I don't want to always repeat the same patterns. But the only way I can know that it's a pattern and that it's a problem is for me to identify it first.
Yeah.
But also to really like actively want to work on making a change. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Seneca. Thank you too. I appreciate that. You know, because for a second I was like, I don't know if this word sounds right, y'all. I made that up.
Hey, look, the best you could do is just sound it out till it makes sense. And if it don't, Google it.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to ask, or anything else you're thinking about, or
no? You
pretty good. No, I'm actually pretty satisfied with what we talked about. So
yeah, I told you it was gonna be. I was gonna work on not crying. I
no.
I tried. I had a few slight moments of tears, y'all. But
you was fighting them things too.
I brought them bad boys back.
You was punching them like they was nobody's business. Like, yo, I'm gonna cry. Just know. Cry. But so in hindsight, obviously we just try to make sure that we just keep working on the things that we can work on, cope with them the best way that we can, try to grow from them and apply little methods and mechanisms that we can do to help ourselves better coping.
Yeah. And have
especially if you live in that shit right now.
Listen. Yeah.
Some people are actually right now in situations.
Yeah.
But you said it yourself. Talk in spaces like this, right?
Yeah. I feel like, but like I said, this feels like a safe space for me. Like I know this is our space. No, I know you are. I know this feels like a safe space, and so it's for some reason it's easier for me to talk here than it is for me to talk. To reach out to people and talk. I don't know why. I appreciate it. love our show for that. I really do. I love it because not only do I want to create that space for other people to be able to do the same thing, but it's become that space for me. And a lot of times the things that I talk to you guys here about are things that I have never talked to people out loud about ever, you know. And that's the beauty of like what we're trying to do here and what we do. Like I do have a list. Like I've been keeping notes in I do have a list. But like because I don't talk to people, a lot of the things that we talk about here are conversations that I have not had out loud with people. They're conversations that happen up here, but that I don't really necessarily have out loud. And I enjoy these kinds of conversations in our space because it does feel like a safe space. I know that everybody here is like usually has a very warm, like listening ear, and they're willing to like give it, you know, give their point of views, which we all like try to respect each other's point of views. And they offer great, and they ask great questions that make me think about things, or they'll like say certain things. But this is big for me because I get to do the thing that I don't do here. I don't talk to people, but I get to talk to you guys. And I get to say the things that I don't get to say normally. I get to like get it out. That's why a lot of it sometimes comes out with tears, because they are not things that I normally get to say out loud or that I will say out loud. So they're deeply rooted in like in emotion for me, because I don't normally like say certain things out loud. And I appreciate like everybody who always comes here, everybody who comes in and has something to say and who like contributes to the conversation. I appreciate the platform that we have, that Mike has helped like me to create, and that we do this together. Like it means a lot to me because I don't normally get to do this. And so to be able to also give other people the space to be able to do it means a lot too. Because I know if it means something to me, it might mean something to somebody else. Especially for a person who like doesn't talk a lot and doesn't like to put their emotions out there for people. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't like to put the burden. When I'm here, it doesn't feel like a burden. Like it feels like we're just having a conversation. And those conversations can be very like therapeutic for me, because they're not ones that I get to have all the time. So I get to come here with my friends and talk to you guys. And I hope that you guys feel the same way. And like, if there's ever a time when you guys want to come up here and talk to us too, and we get to have a conversation, if that's your way of giving it out, like this can be your coping mechanism. Like if this is the way that you want to be able to talk about something that you're struggling with, you want to come up here and talk to us, or if you want to talk to us in the comments, like please like do that, because this is what it's all about. Like when we ask questions for understanding, and we get to have a conversation, and in understanding other people, we get to understand ourselves even more. You know what I mean? When we get to hear other people's point of views, or their suggestions, or their traumas, and how they've handled it, it makes us think about our own personal experiences, and then we can draw from that and hopefully grow. And if this is what we can do, what it's doing for me, if it can do that for somebody else, we'll continue to do this always, you know, because this has been a space for me to be able to say a lot of things that I don't get to normally say. And so I always appreciate it when we get to have these kind of conversations, because they hopefully not only pay off for me, but pay off for other people too, you know?
Yeah. It's always dope when the appreciation of everything that's going on is there.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate everybody that's here. Once again, sorry for last week. Why didn't we do it last? Oh, holiday.
Labor Day. Yeah, it was Labor Day.
Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day. So, yeah, we just decided, let's take this day off so we can chill the hell out, even though we just kind of came back, but it doesn't matter. I know that people, and you know what I'm noticing is that people look forward to it. So it's not just about me and you showing up. It's about people really looking forward to having conversations about things that they're potentially having, and maybe this is their way of coping. Like you said, I want to come sit there and I want to listen, and I want to be able to talk about my problems and talk about the things that's going on, right? And that's something that I can say that I'm proud of about when it comes to this.
Thank you, Seneca.
So it's more or less like, if this is your space to come through and have fun, then come on and have fun with us and talk with us and do all the things. Because I ain't going nowhere no time soon. So it's like,
yeah.
So, I appreciate it wholeheartedly, and I think that I think that is something that's going to be fun. That's all. It's something that's going to continue to grow and continue to be fun. Want to have more guests. So, Seneca, if you ever want to come on here, you let us know. I know that you go live on the other side, but you can come up if you ever want to come up one day, it's just fun to have a whole bunch of people that just want to be able to have a chance to just spread their wings and have a conversation. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, and I usually don't use them words, but do whatever you want. That's what I like that. We're still working on other episodes. I want to get as much information and much safety behind certain episodes as I possibly can. I also just want to make sure that we come up with the best possible topics. Sorry, I'm going through the motions. I'm yawning, sneezing, coughing. But future, like I said, future episodes, I want to be able to create topics that's going to be fun and transcending for people. That's just not regular. Like, I just want something that's just going to do something different. That's all. Let's just blow some shit out the water. So as long as we keep showing up, we always going to make sure that we got good topics for everybody. So
yes.
Yeah. So with that being said, I know we got 4 minutes, but anything else? Any closing remarks? You good? You got everything you need to say? Okay. Listen. Shouts out to everybody for being here. Seneca, you was very active in the chat. Thank you for that. Joy for coming through. Stephanie stopped through for a quick second. Rachel stopped through with a dope question. Chaz Baz, as always, coming through. Legendary Shane. Shane wants to come up one day, so he's learning how to do his own podcast. So we're going to get ready to prepare for him soon because I want to help him get that going. I seen Tim has stopped by for a quick second. That was funny. My guy Nick, Jeff Short came through, and Shay. A bunch of people came through and hung out and talked to us for a quick second. So listen, we're gonna keep this ball rolling. We're gonna keep growing every single day, whether you're here or you're not. If you choose to show up, you do. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. Like, we're gonna continue to grow every single day. I show up for the people I'm supposed to show up for. So yes. But with that being said, we're gonna get the F up out of here, huh? Wait, what? When need our new release to close the show?
Your new mic release.
Oh my god.
Oh wait, Joy, you just reminded me. Hold on.
I ain't got nothing for you. I'm working on it, but I am working on it, Seneca.
Oh, there we go.
The disappointment on her face.
I know. I was sad.
I got you. I didn't say. Now I was trying to. She corrected it. So we need our new mic release for the close. So you need me to. Oh, she needed an exit drink. She's right. She's right. I appreciate that. But yeah. So I know everybody don't have the Oculus VR chats, but I have a friend named my friend. I don't know her actual name, but on the Oculus VR headsets, her name is Bunny. She's a good friend of mine. I've been on it for the past 5 years almost. I joined up with her VR friends. I've only been on it for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And now I'm hosting a singles game night. It's going to be fun. No, it's not yikes. It's pretty dope. I wish you could see it. You'd probably be like, oh, this is cool. You can actually play it on your cell phone if you want to come through, basic. I'm just saying. But anyway, no, so I'm hosting a single. Oh, you got it? Oh, okay. It's just a fun game night. It don't necessarily mean that people are going to hook up and do that. That's not the goal of it. It's just that people are going to come through and have conversations, and I'm just going to be asking questions. It's like love connection almost. They're not going to see each other. So we're going to ask questions to the women, and then the men is going to answer the questions. And then once the men is done answering the questions, the women choose if they like each other, but they don't know what each other look like.
Wow.
And you won't actually see them. It's like their character. That's all. It's
Okay.
their character. So, if y'all want, download it on your phone. Yeah.
How we get this job?
It's on your phone. What about come through? That's the goal. I want to try to. Listen. If they have it, I'm gonna look for it. Let me see. I think if y'all have the y'all can download the Meta app.
Wow, Marcus, that's crazy.
No negativity, Marcus. But let me see. Trying to find an app for y'all so y'all can know exactly. Okay. It's the Meta app. You download that. I know you can create a character on the Meta app, and you can join that world. You can join that world. You can play it and download it and join it through your cell phone. I do know that. Well, that's what I was told. So some people come through and they're on their cell phones too. So that's pretty dope. And if y'all come through on the cell phone, come through and enjoy it. I think it's gonna be, it's Meta Worlds. Yep.
He said, "I hate
Meta Horizon Worlds." Yep.
Marcus said, "I hate toxic positivity."
Nah, I got you. But like I said, I have to find out if they have it. Like, and we're talking about in other spaces too. Like, there's so many different groups in this particular game. So yeah. So it's going to be something fun. So Nick, if you want to come through, you have two Oculus in your house. Okay, all right, cool. Listen, if you ain't using one, let me know. I'll buy it off you. Oh damn, you need a whole tutorial now. She need her kids to help her. That's funny.
They'll be able to tell her.
Yeah. But all right. Yeah, come through to there, y'all. Sunday. It's that Sunday at 10. 8. I'm sorry, Sunday at 8. Sunday at 8, but it goes into the wee hours in the morning. I don't plan on being there that damn long. We're gonna get that game shit over and done with. Be y'all asses there at this time because I gotta work Monday morning. I work next Monday. I might even talk to her to see if we can change the day. Because if we can change the day, that'd be perfect. So, what did you download it? Basic?
What? No.
Oh, all right.
Send the information to me because I wasn't doing that good of paying attention.
Okay, yeah. I got you. It's at night. It's late, Chaz. So it's like if you're at the housewarming, still trying to take a peek at it. So, hi, Lola. I know that's you.
Yes, she couldn't give me a few minutes. She had to tell me she's going to Chick-fil-A. My child, y'all.
I was just trying to give you a heads up.
Okay, I might have to get me a fry.
I already put the order down.
Wow. Tell her to get that shake.
I already put the order down.
Chick-fil-A on some asshole stuff, but
Right.
All right, we out of here. Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see y'all next Monday. Hopefully it'll be strippers hanging out from the wall. But all right, we'll see y'all.